Well, clearly, I think the government themselves have identified the importance of air purification. In the meantime, ventilation is obviously really important, but we need to learn to live with COVID, as the government have said, and air ventilation units are an incredibly important part of that. So really welcome the fact that we've got these units here at Ingersoll Spencer Academy. Also conscious right across my constituency, we've got schools without those, so we need to see that roll out as quickly as possible.
Now, it's really interesting to see the UK government compared to some of the other major governments around the world. So, for example, Australia, Canada and Germany have really poured huge resources into making air filtration machines available. Our own government have done it on, let's say, a much more modest scale. They've made 9,000 units available for schools, but yet there are probably 500,000 rooms and classrooms in a school. What are your thoughts on the level of focus and support the government are giving to this?
Well, I mean, it's entirely inadequate. It's been clear that government don't have a strategic approach to this. I think a response to a letter that you'd received said that they'd only had 8,000 applications, so they considered the matter broadly closed, as you've identified. We need one of these basically in every classroom, in pretty much every school across the country. And so the government have got a pretty poor record when it comes to procurement. We need them to really step up, work with the existing UK industry and anywhere else where they're able to source machines that we know will make a real difference. And I think in terms of the professionalism of these units, we need professional organisations to go into school to identify the needs. Each different classroom is different. Make sure we get an appropriate unit into every classroom so that parents can send their children to school confident that they're going to be as safe as possible.
And Toby, you walked in on a conversation we were having with the head teacher here, Sarah Allison, who volunteered that since these Medicare air filtration units have been put in, and let's point out that was in the midst of the Omicron version of the pandemic, she's noticed that the infection levels here in the school have gone down. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's wonderful. We know they work. We need to get them into every school. As you say, it was great to hear from Sarah that there's been a real noticeable difference in terms of absenteeism, in terms of the number of children getting ill, and obviously in terms of the number of children taking illness back into the family home. So that's why we're really determined that government should get on with getting these units into schools right across the country. And it's fantastic to hear here at Ingersoll we're seeing the benefit of that right away.
Now, the government's apparent focus at the moment has been on two suppliers of machines, Dyson and a company called Camfil. We've got one of the market leaders here today, Medicare, who have actually gifted this school their air filtration machines. What are your thoughts on what the government needs to do to make sure it embraces all credible suppliers of air filtration and not just some of the names that we know the current Prime Minister has probably got personal relationships with?
Well, I think we've seen throughout this crisis, the government have had a sort of favoured supplier type of approach to this, and it's led to billions of wasted pounds and an inadequate response. We need to make sure that the government interacts with the industry, supports the British manufacturers that we know are able to contribute, but also gets units into our schools as quickly as they possibly can. I'm really grateful to Medicare for the support they're giving, but I hope what it'll also do is enable them to go to government and say, look, it works. You know, we've done it here at the Ingersoll Spencer Academy, and we could have it in every school in Chesterfield, in every school in Derbyshire, in every school in the country, if the government get on with that support. But I think it's really important that government don't take the approach now of saying, well, coronavirus is largely dealt with, we can move on and forget about these units. We know there's going to be real health benefits, not just in coronavirus terms, but in terms of general infection, if we can get better quality air filtration. And we also know many school buildings are inadequately ventilated right across the country. So I really welcome this initiative, and thanks to Medicare for that. But we need government to make sure that the rest of my constituents also have this sort of support.
Toby, thank you.